Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Today I'm drinking out of my Toronto mug because it coincidentally was the first one in the mug cabinet, but also well, you can't see anything. It's just black there. See that? See the little raccoon and a maple leaf and a heart. Anyway, it is coincidental that I'm drinking out of this mug this morning because on Friday, Tongue in Cheek is having our first ever meetup in Toronto. And if you would like details about that, if you live in Toronto or are in Ontario and you can make it to Toronto this Friday, you can head over to my bindery. Link is in the description. Sign up for free or for paid, and then head over to our Discord and go to the meetups channel where we are talking about what we're going to do. I think we're going to play some board games. Ooh, it's hot. Still hot. Hot for right now, but when these coffee chats go on for a long time, my coffee gets cold. And the very lovely tongue-in-cheekers in the Discord were suggesting I should perhaps get a mug warmer, or maybe splurge for one of those fancy ember mugs that keeps your coffee warm. I'll just deal for now. There are so many other worse things in life than sometimes slightly cold coffee. But right now, I have the opposite problem. It's a little too hot. Gotta let it cool down. So I'll let it cool down by doing some programming notes here at the top about tongue-in-cheek. First of all, we haven't had a discussion video in a few weeks, and that's because, one, I'm working on a longer discussion video about the Captive Prince trilogy, but two, I'm also only very slowly making it through that trilogy because I am incredibly busy with work. I am not private, or it's not secret what I do for work. I use my name on the internet. You can find me and what I do if you want to do that. But I generally don't talk in great detail about my work. I work in the U.S. political scene. So I'm getting into my busy season right now as there are elections coming up in my home state of Virginia, Commonwealth. So for the next many weeks, I'm going to be busy and increasingly busy, which doesn't mean I'm not going to get to those discussion videos, but they are going to take a little bit longer. So I would expect to see the Captive Prince video in the next couple weeks, and then also maybe some other kinds of videos as I'm getting together what the next discussion series is going to be. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be the Necessary Evils series by Onley James. But if you want to weigh in on that, again, you can sign up for my bindery, head over to the Discord, to the planning chat where we kind of discuss those things, what I'm going to tackle next. The Discord is a great place in between these videos for folks to chat. I've been, it is quite a blessing already, the small but mighty crew that we have over there and the conversations that we've been having only in the past few weeks since Tongue in Cheek has come into existence as a thing. Any other programming notes? There is a podcast version of this now, although I've only adapted one discussion video into the audio format, the discussion of Saint. But this week I should be taking all of the videos in the discussion series, and I'll do all the coffee chats too, although sometimes those are a bit more timely, and I'm going to put them in the podcast feed. The podcast feed is for paid subscribers to my bindery. It does cost money to host the podcast. And I do want to offer like some special treats for people who are willing and able to support the work that we're doing here, which, to remind everyone, is to eventually grow to a point where Bindery would see the value in having us be what they call an imprint, where we are able to publish books, specifically romance books. That is what we are aiming for. We are in early days of that, so for now we are continuing to work through books and discuss them. We are planning meetups, and final programming note, I knew there was one more thing. We have a book club. Tongue in Cheek is also a book club, and our first book we're reading, is I'll Have What He's Having by Adib Khorram. This is our September book. Some folks have already started reading it. There is a chat in Discord where folks are talking about how it's making them hungry. We will be reading this through the month of December, and then at the end of the month, we will have either a Zoom or a Discord chat to debrief about this book. It has a discussion. It has a discussion guide in the back, which we may or may not use. In fact, we may discuss the discussion guide and see if we think it's any good. And then there will be a shorter, for me, video about this book that I will post in public. But if you want to be in on the actual convo, you got to go over to Discord. Again, that's free. It takes 20 seconds to head over to Bindery. You can sign up with a Google account and then hit up the Discord. All right. not really a programming note, but I have the stack of books that I'm reading next to me. And I think it's an indication of my mental health state, which is not amazing. It's not bad. There's nothing bad is going on. But I am reading 7 books right now. That's not a good sign. Let's go through them, shall we? So first and foremost, I'm trying to read at least a chapter a day, although I'm not even hitting that in Princess Gambit, book 2. I'm about a little over a third of the way through, detailed notes and annotations and stuff. I actually don't read on my physical Kindle. I read on an iPad so I can have the notes app next to it, but I just wanted to, this is the artifice of the video. So I'm reading Princess Gambit. I am just starting I'll Have What He's Having. That kind of is the extent of the MM romance that I'm reading. And Princess Gambit, arguably not particularly an MM romance. It's more of a, this is getting into the discussion on the book. It's more of a like high fantasy series that has a very important slow building. So I feel like calling it slow burn is like too tropey for what the book is doing, but like a very slowly building romance plot. There is still queer stuff going on. I am reading book 2 in the Andy Mills series, The Bell and the Fog. I really liked Lavender House. Should do a TikTok about that or something because there's a lot to discuss about it. So I'm on to book 2. Very short. I like that. This is a nice palate cleanser. So those are the like explicitly queer things, I think. Although reading about the history of Mormonism is not necessarily, it's not queer. I picked this book up while I was on vacation, and I'm slowly making my way through it. This is something that like before bed I'll read 10 pages of. Another book that I've been working on for a while in the religious vein, I read a lot of nonfiction. I don't talk about it so much on the internet. I'm reading Christendom, The Triumph of a Religion. This is a very long book about the history, about how Christianity became how Western Europe became kind of a Christian identified place. And it starts around the time of Constantine. Don't know why this stuff is on my mind. Continuing in the nonfiction vein, I'm also reading The Fort Bragg Cartel by Seth Harp. I heard about this on the QAnon Anonymous podcast. I actually saw this book on display at a Barnes and Noble, and just the title, Drug Trafficking and Murder in the Special Forces, like tickled something in my brain, and I was like, I should get that book. And then I just like said, no, I've got too many books. I'm doing too many things. I'm going to move on with my life. And then Seth Harp was on QAA, one of my favorite podcasts, and just like the stuff he talked about was wild. Oh my God. Special Forces is a nightmare. And so I knew like, I gotta have this book. So I'm about 5 chapters into this. And then finally, another thing I don't know if we've definitely talked about on here. We've definitely talked about the Rogue Squadron books. But I am slowly making my way through all of the Star Wars Expanded Universe books, and I'm currently on The New Rebellion, which is 500 pages long. It is a very long book. I remember thinking it was okay as a kid, and reading it now, I'm also finding it pretty okay. Surprisingly okay. It's not well loved and doesn't have great reviews on Goodreads, but I think that the author, Kathryn Rusch, is doing some interesting things here, but boy, is it long. Anyway, speaking of my mental health, that gets into the thing that I wanted to talk about the most today, which is the television show Mr. Robot. We love a potentially troubling segue. Again, I'm fine. I'm just very busy. It's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. But Mr. Robot is certainly a nice thing to have in my life. Let's talk about it. So, first off, you can't do a content warning for this show and about what it's about without spoiling at least a major component of it in the first season. And if you want like the real content warning, like a really important content warning, it is for something that doesn't happen until midway through the final season, the 4th season. So what I will say is I'm going to do a totally non-spoiler brief discussion about Mr. Robot, and then a light spoilers that will spoil an important thing about the first season, and I will let you know when that's going to happen. I am not going to spoil the major revelation. Well, I don't even know if it's the major revelation of the show. I have 1 episode left, and it feels like there's more revelations coming, but like a major thing that happens in the 4th season, I am not going to spoil that in this discussion. What I will say is, if you struggle with your mental health and you find that depictions of other people struggling with their mental health in any way, if you find that triggering, this might not be the show for you. And if you don't enjoy discussions of that, maybe now is the time when you want to take your coffee and finish it before it gets cold. All right, that is the extent of the content warnings. Um, why I say that Mr. Robot is in my life, it is merely because it is the show that we're working on. So this is something that me and my fiance do every night. We have dinner and we sit on our couch and we watch one episode of a television show. We've done this for kind of our entire relationship, so almost 10 years. It really started with Modern Family. So when in our early courtship, I would go over to his apartment once a week and we would watch like 3 or 4 episodes of Modern Family because they're short. That's a long series. It's like 8 or 9 seasons. So it lasted until when we moved in with each other and we started like working on it. And that it's nice to have a program on while you're having dinner, and then it's something that you can talk about. And I'm not like a huge TV watcher. Like before I was in this relationship, I had more free time and I would watch television shows, but oftentimes because my mental health was in a worse state, continuing the theme of mental health, a lot of times I would just be watching the same TV shows over and over again. So I've definitely watched 30 Rock like 3 times all the way through. I've watched Parks and Rec at least 2 full times, and I've seen The West Wing multiple times. Well, one time all the way through, for sure. And then the first 3 or 4 seasons, many, many, many times. So my partner and I, we have TV shows that we're working on. And after Modern Family, we kind of branched out and we did tons of stuff. For a while, we did Chopped. I love Chopped. Chopped is almost the perfect show to watch while you're having your evening meal, because it's a good length. They're all, hour-long TV length with no commercials, so like 44 minutes long. They all have exactly the same format. So once you know like how one of them works, you know how all of them work. I like the variety of judges. There's judges that we like and judges that we don't like. I love Alex. I love Jeffrey. People really don't like Jeffrey. I like his thing, but he is mean. I like. He's ridiculous. He's the only judge who always uses chopsticks to eat with. He's very short with people. I do like how when he enjoys something, he just says it's yummy. I've adopted that in some ways. Why are we talking about Chopped? Oh, programs. So we kind of like haphazardly made our way through Modern Family and watched a lot of Chopped. And I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, we decided we were going to do the Vince Gilligan verse. So we did all of Breaking Bad and all of Better Call Saul, which is something like 120 or 130 episodes. And there are some days when we don't watch anything at all. So in a normal week of 7 days, there are usually at least 5, often 6, but definitely it's rare that all 7 days will be a TV watching opportunity. So let's call it 6 days. 120 episodes or so, I think it's more like 130, divided by 6, that's like 20 or 21 weeks. So it's almost half a year of watching Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That was like a very fun experience. And that like really locked us into we're working on a program kind of phase of our relationship. And then we tackled many, many more shows. We did Barry, we did Arcane, loved Arcane so much. Tons of stuff. And what did we do? What did we do just before Mr. Robot? I don't know. He's not up. It would be bad to wake him up to ask him what we watched before Mr. Robot, right? Right? I can't do that, right? This is where it would be great if I was more obsessive about tracking these kinds of things, but I'm not. Anyway, I don't remember what we were watching before Mr. Robot, but we finished something, and I think next we might be doing The Leftovers. No, Alien Earth. We'll do a little detour into Alien Earth, and I made him promise that we'll watch Hackers after we finish Mr. Robot, because it's referenced in Mr. Robot, and was very important in my childhood. We are drifting. Anyway, he had suggested Mr. Robot a long time ago, but it wasn't available. God, so many shows aren't available. We also recently did a show that has become one of my favorite all-time shows, which is *Halt and Catch Fire*. I still think about that. I was driving back from seeing my mom last Friday, and I didn't cry, but I was feeling very emotional about what happens to Joe McMillan at the end of that show. But it's like impossible to watch. And Mr. Robot was also like in that kind of state, but it recently came back to Netflix, and now we're finally kind of getting back to what we're supposed to be talking about. If you would like to watch Mr. Robot, it is available on Netflix. If you would like to watch it, I would watch it now, because I remember it being available on Netflix a very long time ago, like around the time when it was coming out, and then it wasn't available for a long time because streaming services are terrible. So it came to Netflix. It had been something that he had suggested a long time ago. He had seen the first season, but he had never seen past the first season. So we decided, yes, we will do Mr. Robot. I didn't know very much about the show. I knew it was Rami Malek and Christian Slater and had hackers. And boy, is it about a lot more than that. I don't know if I'm going to have loved this show as much as I loved *Halt and Catch Fire*, because I think the characters in *Halt and Catch Fire* are just they're so special to me. It's the only show in recent memory that I've ever thought, like, maybe I would write some fan fiction for that show. I would definitely not write Mr. Robot fan fiction. I don't love it like that, but it is probably the most interesting television show I've seen, maybe in my life. It is so unusual. It is so unlike any other television show, and I am very impressed by how consistently unpredictable it is, and how much like visual style and like how much visual storytelling Sam Ismail, the like writer, creator, showrunner, had. Like the way that he tells the story through the medium is incredible. So the like non-spoiler TLDR about what Mr. Robot is there is a cybersecurity by day expert, played by Rami Malek, named Elliot Anderson. He works for kind of, a B tier cybersecurity company that provides services to like a fictional mega conglomerate called E Corp, which he in his head thinks of as Evil Corp. They're kind of like an everything company. They're like a FANG, Facebook, Apple, Amazon sort of company, but even bigger. They're like everything that you don't like about big corporate America. It's that's Evil Corp. And he works for a company that provides cybersecurity services to them. But he also then gets embroiled in a hacker plot to try to like take down this company and take down the global economy. And he gets roped into this by this character called Mr. Robot, who is played by Christian Slater. And over the course of the show, things like the aperture of what they're working on expands dramatically until it really is like global, or maybe like more than global in scope. And there's lots of very creative episodes because of one of the main hooks of the show, which I'm about to spoil now. So if you don't know much about the show, if what I said piques your interest and you would like to walk into it completely spoiler free, you should stop the video now, because I'm going to spoil the main revelation of the first season, which like kind of helps us understand some of the storytelling techniques of the show. Are you ready? All right. This is something that you could probably pick up on. I was pinging on it a little bit in the first season. But Mr. Robot is not a real person. Mr. Robot is in Elliot Anderson's head. Alderson's head. Not Anderson, not Mr. Anderson. That's Neo. What we come to understand about Elliot is that he has DID, he has dissociative identity disorder, and Mr. Robot is one of his alters. It is not as simple as, Elliot is the only one who ever talks to Mr. Robot. That's not the case at all, because of one of the main gimmicks of how Ismail, the creator, does the visual storytelling, which is Elliot and Mr. Robot are two totally different characters, and we will see them both on screen at the same time. But when one of them is talking to other people, they're in charge of Elliot's body at that time, and when the other is talking, they're in charge. So that allowed them to do most of the first season without us understanding that, and without like really thinking like, oh, maybe Mr. Robot isn't real, because there are scenes where both of them are in the scene and both of them are talking with people and even arguing with each other. It's just that when they're arguing with each other, it's often kind of happening in Elliot's head, and it's not something that other people can see, and he is not aware that that's happening. There are times when Mr. Robot is in charge of Elliot's body, or potentially even in this. I am on. We just watched the second to last episode of the entire show, and it seems probable that there are other alters, uh, but that has not been totally confirmed yet. But when Mr. Robot or potentially other people are like in control of Elliot's body, sometimes he is not aware of that. All right, so you either already knew this or now you're in on the secret that Mr. Robot is one of Elliot's alters and that he has DID. I'm not going to spoil the major revelation of the show, but if you know about dissociative identity disorder, you probably are aware that I think exclusively or almost exclusively is something that forms in childhood because of trauma. And that means that Elliot had pretty severe childhood trauma. So that's a big thing to consider walking into the show. So if you haven't seen it and you were fine getting spoiled on that major revelation in season one, I'm not going to give you the details, but you could imagine that the trauma that Elliot experiences is very significant. And there is an episode that like made me uncomfortable as they kind of unwound it in the fourth season. It's meant to make you uncomfortable, and it's played in a very dramatic way. There are some just like incredible banger episodes of this show. There is an episode where Mr. Robot is in charge of Elliot's body, and he has kind of banished Elliot into this sitcom version of his life, and it's shot and played just like a sitcom with a laugh track and like fake sets and like 3 camera angles. Incredible episode. I think still my favorite episode of the show is this one take episode. Obviously, like the whole thing wasn't done in one take, but it's meant to feel like it's in one take, playing out in real time. It's one of the most critical episodes of the 3rd season, and like half of the episode we follow Elliot, and half of the episode we follow Angela, his best friend from childhood and his unrequited love interest. And the one take element of it makes sense for what's happening in the episode. It's like so high stakes, and it's like so much hinges on what's going to happen in that episode. But the way they do it is, it's like Sam Ismail, the writer director of a lot of the episodes, was flexing so hard. There are so many continuous shots where we're following a character like through the hallways of a building, and then out of nowhere the camera will like flip 90 degrees so it's looking down on the character, go up in the air, and then follow them. And they have built a set where they can go from room to room, and they've like, there's no roof on it, and then it will come back down, and then like there'll be a little sneaky cut where it will move around, and then we're very clearly in a room that does have a roof. But it, like, you get this experience of like, it's almost like a video game camera where it's like you can go anywhere while you're following these characters. Incredible episode. The episode where we find out the major revelations about Elliot is structured into essentially a 5-act play. It has like act title cards, and it's filmed like anamorphic widescreen like a movie. There is another episode, I think in the 2nd season, that is filmed in a similar style, which I thought was really great. I'm not going to spoil this, but like season 2, about half of it, so I really liked season 1, and by the time we get to the end and we're like, oh my god, Mr. Robot is not real, but he is real, and like he's responsible for all this stuff. The plot, I know I haven't talked much about the plot. I've been talking a lot about like the visual storytelling and the style. The plot of this whole show is that E Corp, Evil Corp in Elliot's head, are the bad guys in his mind, and he wants to take them down. He wants to take down, the 1% of the 1%. And the plan that really Mr. Robot has developed, even though that is an aspect of Elliot's personality, is E Corp is also the largest bank on the planet and the largest mortgage holder on the planet. And the hacker group that Mr. Robot runs, that Elliot gets associated with once he realizes, once Mr. Robot like kind of brings him into that, it's called F Society. Their plan is to infiltrate E Corp's data centers and encrypt all of their data with a key that they destroy, so that E Corp can't access anyone's personal records anymore, which would eliminate all records of debt. And the first season is like one, that's like the runner of the season, is if and how they're going to do it. And they do. They successfully pull it off. And then the second season is kind of like what happens when like the entire global economy loses like all records of ownership. And it's real bad. And Elliot is like a very, he's an anarchist kind of character, and he realizes like, oh, this was not a good plan actually, because the wealthy people still have all the power that they had before, and I didn't have a plan for like the day after. So season 2, by the end of season 2 and then going into season 3, it then becomes a plan to like undo that. But season 2, most of the first half of it kind of spins its wheels a little bit, and I love season 1 so much, and then the first half of season 2, I kept asking my partner like, what is this show about anymore? Like, what is even happening anymore? And it's not until halfway through that there is another major revelation. I'm not going to reveal that one either, but like you think one thing is happening in season 2, and then you find out a totally different thing was going on the entire time. And that should plant a seed of doubt in your head. And that seed of doubt of mine has become this like Amazon in my brain as we are like, at the very end of the show. I have like Meryl Streep in the movie Doubt.
I have such doubts.
But once that revelation like comes to pass in the show in the second season, I was like really up for it. And then season 3 was like incredible. And then season 3 ends, and then you get into season 4, and it's weird. It almost like restarts a lot of stuff. And you have this sense of like, oh, did they know that they were going to get a season 4? Was it supposed to end at season 3? I think Ismail knew where they were going with the whole plot, and he maybe, kind of like the creator of Babylon 5, had like ways that he could have ended it at maybe all of the seasons. But season 4 is very clearly like the real end of the show. But it starts with like a weird voiceover from another character who's kind of re-explaining everything and resetting the board in a way to make it work for season 4. And it kind of makes you think like, oh, did they not have a plan for any of this in the previous seasons? Like, why are they introducing all this now? And it seems pretty clear like, oh no, they did have a plan for this in the previous seasons as you get to the end of this. But like it sort of resets everything and then plays out. It plays out over the course of a very few like calendar days. Season 4 takes place right at the end of the year, so it starts a few days before Christmas, and I think it ends at New Year's. And it's just like another like banger season, although it does have this like awful revelation which would just like made me sick to my stomach to find out. But yeah, that is a bunch of thoughts about Mr. Robot. I highly recommend it if you're up for something like that. Like I said, it is it maybe isn't my favorite television show that I've seen in recent memory, but it is consistently the most original and interesting and unpredictable. And I would try to check it out before our e-corps like Netflix take it off of their streaming services. No community roundup this week. We'll likely take a look at comments from Saint and some past coffee chats, and maybe even some conversations that we've been having in Discord with folks' permission. Next week, when we meet again after our first meetup in Toronto, if you're interested in finding out about that, head over to the meetups channel in Discord. And if you are not, maybe we will do a meetup near you sometime in the future. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely day.